Before dyeing a simple flower on silk, we need to draw it nicely. I outline its center and then I mark its shape. It doesn't need geometric accuracy, but if you are a perfectionist, you can use any round object. In this case, the center of the flower doesn't have to be in the center, it can be displaced. I draw the first petal, the second, the third, but if I continue like this, it will look quite schematic. So I want to make it more alive, bringing a natural soft of flow. Not all the petals will be the same size. Some will hide behind others. In some places the distance between petals will be bigger, in some smaller. I have now decided to add some lower petals. Anyway, I think the idea is clear. I try to draw a living natural flower. To make the pattern more visible through the silk, and my silk will be quite thick today, I trace the pattern with a marker. It doesn't matter what is it, as long as you can see it. The tips of the petals can be this shape or the shape can be different. Variety always brings life to an image. And you can correct the drawing as you trace around it with a marker. And I will probably fill in the gaps that are too big. For the painting, I'm going to use only two powder dyes. It's orange and ultramarine. Frankly, I've had them in these cups for years. I either add water to the cup or add powder dye, and that's why they look so old. I applied resist behind the frame, and in the first, easiest version, I will leave the tips of the petals white, so I just wet them with water. The main color of the petals will be pale orange. I just diluted the orange dye heavily with water. Clearly, absolutely any color of any saturation can be used. It's just that today I felt like going with these two colors. I don't strive for the same color saturation. Somewhere a color is more showy, somewhere less so. And these very subtle shade changes also add vitality to our flower. Now I took the blue color, also heavily diluted with water, but in some places the blue can be darker, and when the blue is layered on top of the orange, they mix and you get a slightly grayish tint. I'd like to add a little shade to the lower petals. Near the very center of the flower, I add dark blue to make the flower look more expressive. On the right side, I'll make a gradient, and on the left, I'll leave it as it is. As a result, the tips of the petals are without color, the middle of the petals is some medium tone, and to the center it's the darkest. In the second option, I use the same two colors. and here I paint the outer tips orange. And the color in some petals is distributed closer to the edges, in some almost along the entire length. And also, inside the orange color, I make gradations from lighter to darker. This difference is hardly noticeable at first glance, but it makes our flower more interesting. I have too wet silk here. It's not nice that the color spreads out. I'll show you later how to avoid this. Here are the brighter petals, and here are the paler ones. And I paint center with blue, which is quite pale. You see, in some places there is a gap between blue and orange, which gives volume to this flower. In the second variant, we have one color on the edges and another in the center. And the third option. As promised, I'm showing you how to remove excess moisture from the silk by simply laying down a paper towel. Here, look, I paint orange starting from the center, and then gradually moving to the ends of the petals. And the flower has already become interesting and three-dimensional, and it would be possible to add nothing, but only the saturation of the orange color. But since we have blue, which also needs to be introduced into this flower, I first paint it in the center of the orange. And then on the lower petals, making little shades. Now I'd like to intensify the orange color a little bit. I keep saying orange, even though in diluted form it looks like beige. And the original idea was to kind of spiral each color from the center, but it turned out like this. But you know, creativity goes as it goes, sometimes without asking your permission.